What's going on, y'all? Sean of Mass Swap Tutoring here with what I would like to call the three E's of studying. Okay. The three E's. This is something I came up with myself based on my own experience with learning how to study. Before we get into the video, go ahead and make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you get notified whenever new videos come up and all that kind of good stuff. This is going to be a good one. Now, first off, studying is a skill that everybody should learn. Now, a lot of times we think that studying is just for those who are having a hard time in school, for example, but that's not the way it works. Studying is what you do even outside of the school setting to make sure you learn something new and learn it at a deep level. Okay. So, one thing I found when I was in school is that I didn't really have to study that much, at least not until I got to a certain point in high school, because the way that I remember things, I had a pretty good memory, and I was able to kind of understand some kind of harder concepts pretty easily from kind of hearing them and then just kind of going on with it. But I found that just because you do well in school does not mean you know how to study. Let me say that again. Just because you do well in school does not mean you know how to study. It's not the way it works. And regardless of how well you do in school, or if you're having a hard time in school, it doesn't matter. You need to know how to study anyway. One, because even if you find grade school easy per se, when you get to college, then you're gonna see that it's different, okay? Because you're gonna have to learn to teach yourself. So if you don't know how to study before, then this is where a lot of people end up messing up with college. Then the second thing is studying is not just a school skill. The way we've looked at learning in life, a lot of times we've restricted learning to K through 12. That's not the way it works. We are very complex beings with these amazing minds who are always learning to do different kinds of things and whatnot. And when you shut that off by not studying and intentionally learning new stuff, then you miss a big part of what it means to be human. So everybody should know how to study. Okay. So what I've put together is my own kind of version of studying based on what I've noticed over my life has worked for me. Now, I formalized it because I've been able to kind of look over and kind of see what works. I haven't always formalized it. It's kind of been something that I've done. And I will also say some in some past times, my studying has been less structured and faulty, if I'm honest. Okay. Because I didn't necessarily go at it consistently. However, this has worked for me. This is what I'm using now to help me, even when I'm preparing for tutoring or when I'm doing other things in my life to study so I can know stuff at a deep level. You don't want to cram. You want to know stuff and you want to know it like the back of your hand. You want to know it at a deep level. Okay. Let's get into the three E's of studying. Number one, expose. You want to expose yourself to the material. And what I mean is, this is kind of like a stage where you just, for example, you go to a lecture, you go to school and your teacher teaches you, okay? You read a chapter in the book, okay? On a topic that the teacher said you're going to be talking about next, or a combination of those two things. You may or may not take notes, but this is not necessarily a big note-taking stage. Taking notes would be fine, but you'll get to that. Okay? If possible, before you go to class, if you're in school, you want to go ahead and read the assignment beforehand. To go ahead and get that pre-exposure. Okay. Again, but this is more of a passive stage where you're just like allowing yourself to kind of get that first taste of the information. E number two, examine. This is a stage where you pay closer attention to the material. Okay. And so what I mean is, say, for example, you have read the book, you went to class, and the teacher taught and gave you some notes, maybe some practice problems. So you wrote that stuff down. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to pay closer attention to the material. You may read the chapter again. You may go over your notes. This is big for me. Go over your notes, read through the notes, okay? You're going to make sure those make sense to you, okay? So when you're going back over the material, the book, going back over the notes, you're going to be asking yourself questions, okay? And I don't want to be too formal with this because sometimes I know whenever I've gotten structures for studying or different things I'm trying to do, too much structure ends up making it complicated to me. Okay. So as you're going back over the material, just try to understand what it means. So that just means you're going to look through it and, read through it and just make sure you can be like, okay, I get that. Okay. You don't want to just be passive and just take it down and then do nothing with it because you may not necessarily understand it like you think you do yet. Okay. So, like, read back through, make sure it makes sense to you. Okay. This is a personal thing. Okay. You may want to take more notes if you have already taken notes. Take notes on your notes. For example, one thing I used to do is I used to, because notes were big for me. I would go back over my notes, and as I was like thinking through them, then I would make other notes inside of my notes to kind of clarify the notes in a way that made sense to me. Okay. Because sometimes we kind of think that we're just supposed to take the notes and then just kind of be passive and just kind of like, well, I don't understand it, so go on with it. No, get understanding and write that in there so you'll have that extra note that you can go back to and be like, oh, yeah, this is what that meant. Okay. Whatever that means, dumb it down, whatever you need to do so that you personally understand it. Okay. Walk through example problems. Your teacher may have given you example problems. Your book may have example problems, example scenarios, or whatever you want to call them. Walk through those each step. Make sure each step is understandable to you. Okay. Do example problems or homework problems with your notes or with the book examples open. You're going to go through systematically each step. You're going to do it the exact same way. Go through each step. Make sure you understand it perfectly. And then also, if you have the answers, confirm that you got the right answer. But this is kind of like a training wheel stage, if you will. Just like whenever you first start riding your bike, you use training wheels so that you didn't fall, but it was helping you to kind of go through the motions. So you're going through using your notes, using the book notes or the book examples, and going through and doing exactly how they do, step by step, every single time. Okay. Um, and then you may want to do like, group work, like study groups if that's something available to you in this stage. However, what I would say is it's probably best to at least kind of do some of this examine stage on your own, okay? To have your own struggle, if you will, through the material. And by the way, struggling is not bad. It's not bad. It actually is helpful. It's a part of learning. All right, so we said you first expose yourself to the material. Then next, you examine the material more closely. The third E of my studying protocol is execute. This is what I would like to call the do stage. Okay. So, what this means is, say, for example, you get an assignment, you do the assignment. This is where you do it with no notes. Okay. No book, no notes. You've already done the examine stage sometime in the past. You do your assignment, and then ideally you check your answers. Okay. Afterwards, though, not during. You've taken the training wheels off. Okay. So now tests and quizzes that you get in school, these are a part of this stage for sure. But ideally, you'll have actually tested or quizzed yourself. Okay. So for example, you learn angles in geometry. Okay. So you've had the lecture, you've taken notes, you've read through your notes. Okay. You've done a homework assignment on these before and you followed your notes. You get another homework assignment or you do some more practice problems. This time, you go through and you do them. Don't look at your notes. After that, go back, check to see if you got the right answers. Okay. If you didn't get the right answer in some situations, go back through your notes with the problems now. See what you missed, and then go back and do your make sure you can get the right answer. Okay. But this is where you take the training wheels off and you go and do it alone. Now, one thing I've noticed is that what a lot of people do is they skip the examine stage. They expose themselves to material. That means they go to school and listen to the teacher. They don't take any notes, and then they go right to the execute stage. They do. And so there's this big gap because they didn't sit with the information. They didn't read over their notes. They didn't read the book. They didn't ask themselves questions about the material. They didn't really do their homework, or at least they didn't do their homework with their notes open. Okay. So you're skipping that stage and you're not giving your brain the valuable time of being able to sit with, reason with the material, make sense of the material. I can't stress this enough. Okay, so the 3 E's again of studying that I've come up with, my studying protocol is expose, examine, and execute. Okay, all of this said, the biggest thing I want you to understand is this is important for you, whether you do well in school effortlessly or it takes more work for you. But the thing is, it has to matter to you. You have to intentionally put the time in to do this. This is the biggest hurdle to studying, in my opinion, that most of us would rather do something with our time than study. Okay. So that's me included. Even me having gotten, a high school diploma, 2 engineering degrees, the different things that I work on in my life, I have a tendency to skip studying, especially the examination stage. Really sitting with material because I'd rather do other things with my time. But if you want to do better in school, if you want to do better with learning and mastering material, you have to expose yourself. You have to examine the material more closely. Then go to the execute stage where you actually do the stuff without notes, without training wheels. Okay. But you have to put the time in to study. If you don't put the time in to study, then you are limiting your ability to understand the material and you're going to find yourself forgetting things. You're going to find yourself mixing things up. Okay. If this video is helpful to you, let me know in the comments. Also, I'm going to include, for those who sign up for my email list, a PDF copy of this study guide, okay, with the details that I've explained here. So if you want that, you can go and become a subscriber to the MathSwap Tutoring mail list, okay? All right. Thank y'all in advance. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Have a good one. Hey, thank you for watching this video. If you need math tutoring or you need SAT math help, look in the description to find out how you can sign up today. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you stay in touch with MathSwap Tutoring on YouTube. Have a good one.